Yes. So good evening, students. Let's get started with this week's current affairs with respect to Indian economy. So we have around 5 topics that we will be discussing, right? So the very first topic that we will discuss is the municipal bonds. So these municipal bonds that are there have now been made eligible for the repo and reverse repo deals. So what is repo? That is the repurchasing rate. So we'll understand what is repo rate, what is reverse repo rate, and what does it mean for the municipal bonds to be made eligible for repo as well as reverse repo. Before that, we will also see what are bonds, what are municipal bonds, what are the different kinds of municipal bonds. This is going to be extremely important. This basically comes from your financial management chapter, financial market chapter, which is very important for your prelims examination, as there are n number of instruments with different criteria, with different time period, different maturity, that is, and also different people dealing with different instruments. So we'll see them in detail. Next is about the Pradhan Mantri Ayushman Bharat Health Infrastructure Mission. So you might already be aware about the Pradhan Mantri Ayushman, the Ayushman Bharat scheme, wherein you get insurance up to 5 lakh rupees every single year. Yes. So if that insurance has been used this particular year for the entire 5 lakh rupees, next year again you will be getting those in that insurance again. Now under that there is a mission of creating health infrastructure. So in that there are different infrastructures in the health segment that we will be talking about. Next is China's WTO complaint. So what has happened here is China has complained against India. So India provides subsidies, of course we all know that. There is one umbrella subsidy that India provides, which is known as the production linked incentive subsidy. Now this production linked incentive subsidy is an umbrella subsidy. Umbrella means it is provided for various sectors. For example, the automobiles, the renewable energy, so on and so forth. So in multiple sectors it is provided. Now China has complained that this India's subsidy under the production linked incentive subsidy for certain segments actually does not obey or follow the WTO guidelines. So we will discuss what this complaint is all about, whether it actually holds water or not, and what is India's response in that regard. Next is India's maritime sector historic transformation. Now recently our Honorable Prime Minister has basically promised a lot of investments, etc., with respect to our shipping, our maritime sector. So with respect to that, we will see what all is on the cards and how it can transform India's entire maritime sector. And the last is the National Critical Mineral Mission. Now a couple of months back there were rare earth minerals that were in news. Now it's the critical minerals that are in news. Again, those minerals that are critical for a country, for example minerals like nickel, etc., that is being used in electronic vehicles, have become very, very critical for the countries. So these are the minerals that are critical. Based on that we will see what is this National Critical Mineral Mission is all about. So let's get started with the very first news, that is the municipal bonds now eligible for repo and reverse repo. So the Finance Ministry has allowed municipal bonds to be now eligible, municipal bonds to be used as eligible collateral in repo and reverse repo transactions. Now let's understand, so this is the news which is all about. Now let's understand each and everything about it. Okay. First, in fact, even before we go to municipal bonds, the first thing is, what is a collateral? So whenever you take any loan, there are certain loans which are collateral loans, certain non-collateral loans. Non-collateral loans, like a personal loan, when you take a loan, there is nothing that you have to mortgage or give to the bank in return till the time you pay off the loan. But in collateral loans, what happens is you have to mortgage something, you have to keep a collateral with the bank. For example, the house loan. If you are taking loan for the house, you might be buying house from a third party. So the loan that you take, the check for that loan goes directly to the third party, and the papers of the house, which is now become in your name, is kept by the bank as a collateral. Why? So that they ensure that you pay up the EMIs, you pay up the loan. So whenever you keep certain asset while taking a loan, it is known as a collateral. So now municipal bonds will be allowed as collateral for repo and reverse repo. Now the question is then, what are municipal bonds? So before that, let's first understand bonds. What are bonds? Bonds are basically debt instruments. Yes. So in financial market, there are two kinds of instruments that generally exist. One is the equity instrument, the other is the debt instrument. Equity instrument means if I, let's say, buy an equity share. So what happens is, let's say you invest 10% in my company and I am giving you equity shares in return. So for the 10% of equity share, I took 10 crore rupees from you. Now that 10 crore rupees, I am not obliged to pay you back. Why? Because instead of that, I have given you equity share. So that's why I don't have to pay you back. But whatever the profits are made, 10% of the dividends come to you. But remember, if there is a loss, the loss also has to be borne by you. Now that is the concept of equity. The other concept is the concept of debt. Now if there is a debt instrument, it says that if you have taken some money, you will have to return back because that money was taken as a debt. Right? So you have various instruments which are debt instruments. You have treasury bills which are debt instruments. Right? You have the cash management bill again issued by the government of India. RBI issues it on behalf of the government of India. That is also a debt instrument. In a similar manner, the bonds are also debt instruments. Then what are municipal bonds? The bonds that are issued by the municipal corporation, the municipal bodies, the urban local bodies are known as the municipal bond. Now the municipal bonds can be of two types. Number one is general obligation bonds. Now what is general obligation bond? See, since it's a local government, the local government is also obliged to provide certain services, certain benefits to facilitate certain things in the locality, in the municipality, right? So to carry out such functions, for example, providing for sanitation pipelines, sewerage pipelines, proper drinking water, proper parks, the municipal corporation parks, the upkeeping, the establishment, the maintenance of such parks and places, etc., is a general obligation of the municipal corporation. So if they issue bonds to get money to provide for these services, it is known as a general obligation bond. Now where are they going to pay for this bond? Because they will have to return the money, they will pay it from the taxation power that they have. See, some of the money gets let's say gets diluted, or let's say given from the state government to the municipal corporation, but the municipal corporation can also have their own taxes. So from that pool of money they will pay this general obligation bond. Now next is the revenue bond. Now what are revenue bonds? See, the municipal corporation also can undertake various projects. So they can also undertake various projects which are going to generate revenue for them. Now for such projects they can again issue bonds which will be known as revenue bonds, and these bonds will then be paid up from the revenue stream that gets generated because of this project. So this is the concept of revenue bond. Now if you look at the legal framework, so the bonds come under India's financial market, and the financial market is regulated by SEBI, that is Securities Exchange Board of India. So hence these bonds are going to be coming under SEBI. Now remember with SEBI, so SEBI is presently a statutory body, but it did not start as a statutory body. This body came into existence, but then in 1992, under SEBI Act of 1992, it got statutory status. So if a question is asked that SEBI was established as a statutory body, no. A year before it was established as an executive body, but a year later it got the statutory status. So there are certain preconditions for issuing such type of bonds. The credit rating needs to be there, the financial disclosure is mandatory, there need not be any default in the past 365 days. No default as in no loan, no EMI, no repayment of the bond should have been defaulted by the municipal corporation if they want to issue these bonds. Now let us understand what is the significance of allowing repo eligibility. Now what is this repo rate? Repo rate is basically the rate at which the RBI lends money to scheduled commercial banks. That's the repo rate. Now the reverse repo is basically when the banks will have additional money, they can park that money with the RBI, so the rate that they receive against such parking of money is the reverse repo rate. Now since these bonds have been made eligible for repo and reverse repo, so it will help increase the liquidity in the market. Now how is that possible? See, simply understand that there is certain, let's take the example of municipal bonds only. Let's say municipal bonds previously were not eligible for repo, reverse repo. So you could not, present this bond as a collateral. So if you could not present this bond as a collateral, you would have not been able to get the loan that you want. But now you can present it as a collateral. Since you can present it as a collateral, you can get now loans that you want. So that means more funding can be available. More funding means more money in the market, means more liquidity in the market. And of course it will increase the price discoverability and liquidity, because now more funds can be taken from more sources, and more sources are now going to accept the municipal bonds as well, which will increase the investor base, will also get increased. Why? Because the municipal bonds, again, these are government bonds. Of course the government is a local government, still here you will have a considerable amount of safety or security. It's not a private institution as we are talking about. Now next is the infrastructure financing. Now using these municipal bonds as a collateral, various activities can be done. One of them can be the infrastructure financing, right? Fiscal decentralization happens by giving this power, more loan can be generated using this, so you don't have to be dependent as such. So these are the benefits that it brings. However, there are certain concerns. Concerns means the credit rating of such municipal bonds are considerably low. So low credit quality. Most urban local bodies have weak finances. Now why do they have weak finances? Because their taxation power is less and they have to be dependent on the state government, and state government of course have more taxation power, have more taxes, but again a lot of the taxes money also comes from the pool of central government as well. So central government as such does not have much dependency, but the state government is dependent on the central government, and in turn the municipal government is dependent on the state government. So more dependency, less independence, as a result of which low credit quality, poor disclosure, the disclosure transparency as such is also not there. Limited demand, the demand for municipal bond itself is limited. The total issuance was around 3,300 crores compared to the central or the state bonds of 25 lakh crore. That means, so if you take up this, it means 100 times, almost 100 times is the issuance of state and central bond, as a result of which, and the credit quality is also weak, so there will definitely be a default risk. Now this step of the finance ministry can also be a step, this can be a step which can be further utilized or further facilitated. How to facilitate this? Now this facilitation can be done through the 16th Finance Commission. Now since the government has allowed municipal bonds to be used as a mortgage for repo, reverse repo, the 16th Finance Commission can take into consideration this activity, and more of this, if it is done by the urban local body of a particular state, they can give them more devolution of taxes from the central government, so on and so forth. So it can be like this, there can be facilitation by the central government in order to propagate these bonds even more. I hope that's clear. Guys, if you have any doubts, please ask me and then we move ahead. Thank you. Moving on to the next, that is Pradhan Mantri Ayushman Bharat Health Infrastructure Mission, right? Health Infrastructure Mission. Now, Ayushman Bharat is a central government scheme. It is an insurance scheme through which you are provided, as I said, up to 5 lakh of insurance every single year. Now, you can go to any hospital and your coverage will be there up to 5 years. But at the same time, the government also want to expand its health infrastructure, its own health infrastructure, so that you can get the services within the government hospital itself. So to do that, we have the Ayushman Bharat Health Infrastructure Mission. Now what is this mission all about? It is going to be the largest pan-India health infrastructure scheme. Of course, it has to be. It's coming from the central government. total outlay is of over 64,000 crore rupees, right? It is working towards making district self-reliant, India self-reliant, and the state self-reliant, right? So it is good that it goes up to the level of the districts. That means India as a whole should be self-reliant, each state should be self-reliant. That means each state should have a proper density of hospitals, of primary healthcare centers, of the laboratories, so on and so forth. And not just that, each district should be sufficient. So there should not be any single district which lacks in infrastructure. So this approach is actually quite good. Now let us see what are the major components of this. The very first component, as you can see here, Ayushman Arogya Mandir. So the health temples, right? Ayushman Arogya Mandirs. Now these are what? These are upgrading of the sub-health and primary health centers. So the primary health centers are the primary contact of the people on a regular basis. So these primary health centers, there is a different nomenclature that they have come up with. It's important to remember the nomenclature, especially for your prelims examination. So you have the Ayushman Arogya Mandirs, which are nothing but the upgrading of the sub-health and the primary health centers. These will be upgraded into the Ayushman Arogya Mandirs. Now there will be rural Ayushman Arogya Mandirs as well as the urban Ayushman Arogya Mandirs. Next is the block public health units. Now the block public health units means, see, they are trying to use the hub and spoke model. That means at a very low level, many primary healthcare centers will be there. Now in a big block of a district, there will be a block public health unit, right? And then at a district level, there can be a district level entity which will be there. Next, integrated public health laboratories. Very, very important to have healthcare laboratories. These laboratories are going to perform the tests which are nowadays even more important, right? So because if there are any ailments after doing the blood test, the urine test, various other tests, it is easy to identify what the issue is going on. So we will also have the integrated public health laboratories. Next is the critical care hospital blocks. So new tertiary care, these are tertiary care units in high population districts. So these are tertiary care units. Now what are tertiary care units? We saw the primary healthcare center is the first point of contact. Then you saw the block hospital, etc. Now so these primary healthcare centers will be tens of primary healthcare centers in a district, right? The number even may go beyond 100, but then each district will have a specialty hospital which will consist of a lot of things. You will have the surgery for the kidney, the liver, etc. The terminal illnesses also will be there. Now these kind of hospitals of the government will not be that much prevalent as the primary healthcare centers. These are called as the critical care health blocks and hence known as the tertiary care centers. Next, the government talks about health surveillance and IT systems. So that is also important. Whenever you go to any doctor, it is important to bring your entire medical history, what has happened in the past, all those things are important. So here we will be maintaining real-time digital network will be there, which is going to maintain the data from the health labs nationwide. And when you go to a government hospital, your Aadhaar will be linked. So every test that you might have done, right, through the Aadhaar, every detail along with your report possibly will also be available over here. Health research and innovation, this is basically again talking about the research and development in order to cure the infectious diseases and also be prepared for the future as well. So this is the entire system of the infrastructure health mission. Now what is the significance? The significance is it is going to create a very comprehensive system, comprehensive and integrated system, right from the public primary healthcare center to the tertiary healthcare centers and research and development. It is going to expand the disease surveillance also. Surveillance will be easier of the diseases of the people, their ailments, etc. It supports universal health coverage. So the government wants that each and every individual should be covered by some form of insurance or the other. There needs to be some amount of coverage. So it benefits that as well, and decentralized healthcare delivery, because remember the primary healthcare centers are present in going to be present in every nook and corner, so there will be decentralization. You will not have to run from pillar to post, you will not have to run very far off to get the basic healthcare needs met. I hope that's clear. Next is China's WTO complaint against India's production linked incentive subsidy. So what has happened, as I have mentioned, production linked incentive subsidy is an umbrella subsidy that is provided by government of India for the production of various different sectors. Now what kind of sectors are involved? The sector that the government considers to be sort of undeveloped or underdeveloped or new coming sectors which will need more of facilitation, hand holding support of the government, those kind of sectors the government keeps on putting under here. So now there are a lot many sectors. Some of the sectors are not even listed because China has complained with respect to just 3 different schemes under the production link incentive subsidy. There are sectors like renewable energy, etc., which are not mentioned. But what is important as to what schemes China has talked about. So they have talked about our scheme of advanced chemistry cell batteries, that is ACC batteries. Second, auto and auto components, and third is electric vehicles. So based on all these 3, you can see these are emerging technologies, kind of emerging technologies, so they need hand holding. The government is providing production link incentive subsidies over here. So China is saying that it violates WTO's subsidy rules, right? So first let's understand what is PLI. As I have already told you, previously launched, it's an umbrella scheme launched in 2020 for boosting the domestic production. Now the question is, on what basis is China saying that it violates the WTO subsidy rule? So it says that there is a concept of domestic value addition requirement. So China is saying that that for the companies of India to be eligible for production link incentive subsidy, they need to showcase that they have done domestic value addition. So up to 50% of domestic value addition should be done in auto, and up to 25% should be done in ACC batteries. That means what? That 50% of value addition should be done by goods and services used which are of domestic origin. That means what? That means the government of India, as per China, the government of India is nudging these companies to utilize the domestic product and services. Now what's wrong in that? So what is wrong in that is because there is, let us look at that concept. Yes, there is a concept of WTO which is known as the national treatment. Now this is, as per China, this is getting violated. So let us understand what is the national treatment. So let's say this is the border of India, the maritime border of India is there, right? So basically when we import something from outside, from a different country, when it comes to our country, we impose certain tariffs. Let's say sometimes there is no tariff, 0%, sometimes 20, 30, 100, 120%. India imposes quite a lot of tariff. So you impose certain tariffs, right? Now let's say India have imposed 60% of tariff, but the moment that good enters the country, it should be given national treatment. That means it should be treated on par with the domestic product. Once it enters the country, you cannot give a notification to all the customers or all the shopkeepers to not use this, to not sell this, so that the demand goes down, to put it in a shelf in a supermarket, put it at the end, put it behind, put it somewhere no one can see. Nothing like that can be given, because even these products have to be given national treatment. Now, so let's say there is an X product from China and there is a Y product manufactured within India. Now while producing the ACC batteries or the auto or automobile parts that are there, the government of India says that you have to show that you have added value to these products domestically. Now that means what? That means this is urging these companies to use domestic products and not the foreign imported products. This is what China claims. I hope that is clear. This concept, I hope it is clear, right? So let's see what is India's response? Right. India says that DVA is not equal to local content requirement. So India is saying that we are saying domestic value addition. Now when we are saying you have to add value domestically, it does not mean we are asking you to use local content. Now how can India say that? Because India is saying that value need not necessarily be added only through goods, only through parts. Value can also be added through research and development, through technology, through design. So value can be added through this also. So we are not talking about any goods that we are importing from China, right? Because services as such we are not importing, goods we are importing. So value can be added using research, development, tech and design, which are services as such and not goods, as a result of which India argues DVA is not equal to local goods content requirement, right? So partially this can be right, right? But then you have to be then specific that 50% of domestic value addition should happen from here only. It can happen from here also, but the mandate is not that it should happen from here only. So India's response seems to be right, but probably partially right, because then the rule should read that the DVA should be added only through these things and not through goods. No, it does not. It not through goods that are domestic, but that is not the case, right? So some of the domestic value addition may happen from here. So out of the 50%, let's say up to 40% gets value addition from here, the 10% from the domestic goods. So China could be right 10% to the degree of 10%, right? I hope this concept is clear. I will repeat it again. China is saying that the government of India has a domestic value addition requirement, because of which the domestic product will be given preference and not the imported products in India. But government says that we are not talking about product. Product is not the only way to add the value. Value can be added through the domestic research, development, technology and design as well, which is partially correct. Yes, it can be, but some companies can choose to add the value via the domestic goods also, which will then probably go against the WTO's national treatment policy. I hope that's clear. Okay. So this is the dispute process of WTO. Now in WTO what happens is, if there is such complaint, there will first be consultation. This is the first stage wherein both the parties will try to resolve it amicably. Second stage will be that the matter will be heard, dispute heard by 3-member WTO panel, and whatever the judgment is given, there might be a possibility that one of the party is aggrieved. Now that aggrieved party or anyone, both of them will be given a chance to go to the appeal stage as well. Okay. Now what is the significance of this complaint? It highlights India and China's trade tension. The tensions are already there, so one country is trying to take the leverage against the other country. So this shows that trade tension is already there. It is going to test India's diplomatic power. Now it is better that in the first stage only it is resolved amicably in order to ensure the trade tensions do not further escalate. Hope that's clear. Now coming on to the third news, that is about the historic transformation that is on the cards with respect to India's maritime sector. Now this is quite a factual news, so just focus on what all is the possibility over here. So our Honorable Prime Minister addressed the Maritime Leaders Conclave in Mumbai. So there was a conclave, that means the conference which was addressed by our Honorable Prime Minister. In such addresses a lot of promises are made, and a lot of notifications are also given, not just simply promises as such, the promises in elections, but more concrete, more of the things that are actually on the cards. So the Prime Minister had stressed about clean energy, smart logistics, sustainable maritime connectivity, so on and so forth. So let us see each thing one by one. A 2.2 lakh crore worth of new maritime initiatives are going to be there. 437 vessels to be acquired to modernize India's shipping fleet. Very, very important. Why it is important? See, India has also come up with a new scrapping policy. Now in this scrapping policy, they are saying that any vessel which is 20 years or old should be scrapped. However, there are a lot of arguments against this policy, because certain vessels can be 21 years old but still functioning better. Some can be 19 but not functioning as well. So a blanket rule like that does not work. Also, if it is implemented in the next 5 years, out of the 14 to 1500, out of the approximately 1500 vessels that we have, we will be left with around 700 vessels only. So it will lead to a huge requirement, right? So again, getting 437 vessels is going to help us a lot. Now, next is India, 4th India Maritime Week. Now, this is also the participation which was conducted. There were participation from 85 countries. Now, why is this important? It is important for interoperability because the ships generally will be there in the international waters. So it is very important to collaborate with other country and to make our vessels interoperable to safeguard them. You know, in the international model, you will be required to take help from any coast guard anytime of different country also to safeguard yourself from pirates, to safeguard yourself from the natural disasters, etc., etc. So this plays a very important role. And if you talk about the cargo movement on inland waterways, up by 700%. Now, it looks drastic because initially it was very less, so on a very small base this is a jump, but still it's a considerably good jump of 700%. Operational were 3 waterways, now it has increased to 32. Next is the Vidinam port. Now this port which is there, it is, remember for your prelims, the first deep water international transshipment hub. So this is the first deep water international transshipment hub. Now a food for thought for all of you, all the major ports that are there, a lot of ports from that have specific speciality about them. So make sure you know what each port speciality is, right? You have the Kandla port launched indigenous green hydrogen facility. Now green hydrogen is what? It is basically a clean fuel. Issue with this is its cost, and hydrogen is highly susceptible to fire, so it can catch fire very quick. So these are the challenges, but it is a very clean source of fuel. JNPT, that is the Jawaharlal Nehru Port Trust in Mumbai, doubled capacity at Bharat Mumbai Container Terminal. So JNPT, what is JNPT? Jawaharlal Nehru Port Trust. So basically it's the Jawaharlal Nehru Port which has also doubled its capacity. Okay. Now other things that India have done over here is modernize its law. Yes, so India has replaced the colonial era shipping laws with the modern legislations. Now these laws which has replaced the old laws is focused on ease of doing business, making it easy for us to do business. State maritime boards are empowered to take various decisions, penalize, etc., and digitization of port management has taken place. So these are the things which have been done with respect to the changes in law. Next is the investments and future projects. So a 70,000 crore investment to boost the domestic shipbuilding has been announced. As we have already seen, that is actually a requirement because of the scrapping policy. A lot of ships are going to go out of service, as a result of which you definitely need good amount of money to be spent on the shipbuilding. Then another important thing is the fact that the large ships have been granted infrastructure asset status. Now what is the importance of infrastructure asset status? The infrastructure assets are under priority sector lending. So now that the large ships are being given that importance, the fund for that can also be taken, would also be able to be taken as priority sector lending. That is also a possibility. So this will lead to better fund availability for shipbuilding. Better fund availability for shipbuilding. Our Prime Minister has called for joint action. Joint means join of India and the other countries of the world for climate change, supply chain and maritime security. As I was saying, that the maritime security is very, very important. Is that clear? So this was about it. Next is the National Critical Mineral Mission. So the Ministry of Mines Under now this national critical mission is going on beforehand itself. It's not that it has been started now. Then what has happened now is the Ministry of Mines has recognized 2 new centers of excellence. One is here in Bengaluru, that is IISc Bengaluru. It is a top-notch institute. Now with respect to the critical mineral mission, it has been declared as a center of excellence. That is, and the next one is the CMET Hyderabad. So these 2 have been declared as centers of excellence. Centers of excellence means what? Under this critical, the national critical mineral mission, they will be, their laboratory, their results will be considered to be valid. They will be given funds for research and development. The research and development happening over there will be focused on this, and their research and development can be directly used by the government of India. So these are the concept, this is the concept of center of excellence. I hope that's clear. Now let's read about the mission, critical mission. So announced in Union Budget 24-25, nodal ministry of course is of mines. This reminds me one thing, if the mission is directly in sync, or you can directly remember that yes, mineral mission, so it will be related to Ministry of Mines. So if there is a direct relation, you don't have to specifically remember it. But sometimes the ministry can be something and the scheme can be about something else. In that time, you will have to specifically remember. Now, what is the objective? To ensure long-term mineral security. Security means the long-term availability of the mineral has to be there. The mineral should keep on coming. There should not be any delay in the supply chain, the lack of extraction, the lack of availability, because if it is there, it is going to impact the production in the country. Right. Now let's look at the scope and coverage. So this mission covers the entire series of processes that take place: exploration, mining, beneficiation, who gets the benefit, processing, recycling from end of life product. It also supports clean energy, electronics and strategic sectors. Remember, any such project which comes will always, not always, but mostly has the concept of clean energy, climate change, this and that. It's always there. So this is something you can probably generally remember. Moving ahead, let's understand about the key features that are there. Focus will be on offshore mining of polymetallic nodules. These polymetallic nodules are rich in components like cobalt. Offshore mining means, see, it's basically in the middle of the sea. There is no shore here, no there, not there, not there. It's basically in the middle, not exactly in the middle, but far away from the shore. Since it's far away from the shore, it is known as offshore mining, right? It also promotes strategic partnership for global mineral sourcing. You can have international partnership also that it talks about. Now the question is, what are critical minerals? The minerals that are vital for the economic growth of a country and the national security are basically known as the critical mineral. So again, I repeat, vital for economic growth as well as for national security. Now they have limited availability globally, as a result of which, because of that limited availability, it will basically become a very key to ensure that supply chain is proper managed. So because of that, because of limited availability, it creates a supply chain vulnerability. So we have to ensure that that does not become a hindrance for us. So what are its applications? Let's have a look. It has applications. First, try to remember generally. It has application in solar energy. It has application in wind energy. Right. In solar energy, the key minerals are silicon, tellurium, indium, gallium. Right. Next, of course, it will be essential for the photovoltaic cells that are there. It is used in wind energy. Key minerals are rare earth elements, neodymium and dysprosium. Okay, used for high efficiency magnet. Next is electric vehicles, of course, used for electric vehicles, lithium, nickel, cobalt, used for the batteries. The lithium ion batteries that are there. Then energy storage, of course, energy storage system, again lithium, cobalt, nickel, because in EV also they are being used as energy storage only, right? So these are basically the use of it. Now a very important concept here that we saw is that of the rare earth minerals, right? So now remember that for rare earth minerals, now we do use the word rare over here, but please understand that they are not rare in the earth's crust, absolutely not. Rather, they are quite properly, abundantly, optimally available in the world, right? But there is an issue. See, first issue is approximately or more than 50% available in China, right? More than 50% reserve, about 50% reserve. Better way to say that would be about 50%. Approximately 50% reserve is with China, fair enough. But still remaining 50% is there in the rest of the world. But very interestingly, about 85% of the yearly production is happening from China, right? China is producing about 85% of the rare earth mineral every single year, right? Now, why is that the case? That is because, and I also said it's abundantly available, so why rare? It is said to be rare because its extraction is very costly. Also, its extraction is dangerous and can lead to a lot of toxicity. So, the democratic countries which care about their people more considerably, arguably we can say that, is not doing that, is not extracting. Plus, it's not even economically beneficial to extract it, right? So, India does not do it. USA also in fact does not do it. In fact, what USA does is, it says, it basically sends the rare earth minerals for refining in China. So why China is having such a high production of rare earth minerals? Because it is refining other countries' rare earth minerals also which are coming to it. And China has demarcated certain regions for rare earth mineral mining and of course refining, wherein there will be toxicity, this, that. China is least bothered about that, right? But good that the rest of the world is getting the refined rare earth mineral. So this is the entire concept of the rare earth mineral as to why we actually call it rare and why it actually is not as rare as we think. The issue is of its extraction and of its refining. Remember, USA also sends its rare earth minerals to be refined in China. I hope that's clear. So if you have any doubts, please ask me, right? Now let's move ahead and try to solve some of the questions based on the news that we have done so far. Right, question number 1. Consider the following statements. Statement 1 says, municipal bonds have now been made eligible for repo, reverse repo operations by the RBI. Have they been made eligible? Yes. This step aims to improve their liquidity and attract institutional investors. That is also correct, right? Any questions, any doubts? Straightforward. It's very important to immediately solve the question after doing the topic so that we can go into the depth of it and still remember the factual questions as well, right? So both will be correct. Next is, which of the following components are part of Pradhan Mantri's Ayushman Bharat Health Infrastructure Mission? Ayushman Arogya Mandirs, yes, Ayushman Arogya Mandirs. In fact, there will be rural Ayushman Arogya Mandirs as well as the urban Ayushman Arogya Mandirs. Block public health units, yes, as I said, there will be there. Integrated public health laboratories, yes, the health laboratories will also be there. So 1, 2 and 3 all are correct. Next, please answer this. China's WTO complaint primarily challenges India's PLI. What is PLI? PLI is production linked incentive subsidies. Right. One thing about this is, higher the production, higher will be the incentive. Right. So China's complaint about our PLI scheme is related to what? Is it related to ACC batteries? Yes. So this option goes away. Is it related with auto sectors? Yes, we have studied auto and automobile parts. So 2 is also correct. So this goes away. Now the question is it also related to the textile? No, of course not. China has not talked about textile. it has talked about the ACC batteries, the auto and automobiles, and what? And the EVs, that is electric vehicles. So these are the things that it has talked about. So 3 is incorrect. So this is wrong. The correct option will be A, 1 and 2 only. Let's move ahead. Which of the following port has been declared has become India's first deep water international transshipment hub? So a very factual question. JNPT, no, it has increased its capacity. Paradeep, no. Kandla, no. The correct answer is Vizhinjam port, which is there. The last question here, which minerals are crucial for EV battery manufacturing under India's mobility plan? So please try to answer this. Yes guys, online students, what will be the answer here? We have seen that for this you will need, you write Lion batteries. So basically this is lithium ion batteries is what we talk about, right? So lithium is definitely there. Now lithium is here also, lithium is here also. Did we talk about iron? Is iron a critical mineral? Absolutely not. In fact, manganese, graphite is not, nickel, copper is, lead is not, zinc is not, lithium is there. We also saw nickel as well as cobalt. So these are the 3 minerals that are present in our critical mineral mission and which are used in the EV battery manufacturing. Now at the same time, apart from EV battery manufacturing, there is another use of this that we have seen, which is talking about the storage, the energy storage. So it is also used for energy storage, and it is very logical because EV battery or electric vehicle itself is what? It is going to store nothing but energy only inside it. I hope that is clear. Yes guys, so is this clear? So these are the important news of this entire week. Now the news that we have seen, the very first one, in fact all of them have a huge importance for your prelims examination, there is no doubt about it, but any of this can be easily used for a 10 marker mains question, or even for that matter 15 marker mains question. So the first thing you should do is make sure that you are clear about the concept, you are clear about the facts, etc. that are there to be done. And once you are done that and you have good answer writing skills, which you can improve by getting more and more feedback and writing your mains test series as well, then you can easily use this knowledge in order to answer the questions for mains. Okay, we have a question here by Harsha. Sir, how does the reverse repo rate work in municipal bonds? Okay, I'll explain that. That is actually a very interesting question as to how it will work. Now let us understand how the reverse repo rate will work in municipal bonds. So there is a municipal body. Okay. Now this municipal body is going to issue municipal bond, right? Now what is repo and reverse repo? Let's focus on repo only because that's how it's going to work. Repo is the rate at which, so repo rate is basically the rate at which RBI gives loans to the scheduled commercial banks. Now RBI gives loans to the scheduled commercial bank at a particular rate that is known as repo rate. Now RBI, and this loan is for short term. Now while giving this loan, RBI asks the scheduled commercial bank to put something as a mortgage. So it gives them against approved securities. These approved securities are nothing but the mortgage which the RBI asks from the scheduled commercial bank. So sorry for that. So since the RBI is asking a mortgage, so scheduled commercial bank will have to invest in government securities, the security of the government of India, and then that will become a mortgage, and that mortgage the scheduled commercial banks can give to the RBI, right? So those are approved securities of the government of India and various multinational corporations which the RBI approves from time to time. Now the municipal bonds, so Harsha has asked that question. So Harsha, now the municipal bonds can also work as a collateral. That means what, Harsha? That means that now the scheduled commercial banks can invest in the municipal bonds. While investing in the municipal bonds, they will earn some return, plus these, so the scheduled commercial bank, let's say, have given 10 crore rupees to the municipal corporation, and municipal corporation in turn have given them the municipal bonds. Now these municipal bonds, scheduled commercial banks can use as collateral to borrow money from the RBI through the repo rate. Is that clear? Now, how can it be used for reverse repo? When the scheduled commercial bank has too much of money, they can borrow, which they are not able to give as loans, because already a lot of money is there to give loans. They can invest in municipal bonds, and they can park their excess money in the form of municipal bonds as well, under their SLR requirement. Right? So this is, but focus on the first component, which is they will simply give money to the municipal bodies and take the municipal bonds, and when they are let's say taking loan from the RBI under the repo rate, they will simply keep these municipal bonds as collaterals or the securities. Is that clear, Harsha? So this is exactly how it is going to work. All right, guys, any other questions? Right? So that's about it. Please study well and see you in the next class. Thank you, guys.